So it appears Nintendo may actually be living up to their promise. According to Reggie, there was going to be enough SNES Classics to go around, pretty much. And this seems to be the case. Like, at first I was very skeptical, and I still am. Like, I honestly did not believe Reggie, and I still don't necessarily believe him. Since Reggie's constantly been saying things for a long time, which were just a way to pad business and make Nintendo look better, which is one of the reasons why I'm against business owners or business people running a business being like the mascots for the business, like Nintendo's been trying to do with Reggie and other Nintendo like the CEO of Nintendo and all this other stuff. Like, I'm totally against that kind of concept because business owners do not mix at all very well with like what the company's trying to promote. Like, when you're trying to promote something, a mascot's usually trying to make the company look really good, and then they're trying to make people feel better. But a business owner isn't doing that necessarily. A business owner is trying to make the business profitable. He'll do it even if he has to hurt you. So having them as a mascot is kind of a terrible idea, completely terrible. And I've always hated that for some reason, especially at E3, you constantly see Reggie or some Nintendo CEO or some other person like Shigeru Miyamoto be like the face of the company. And that just, for me, it's kind of a little bit you should not do that. It seems unethical. And the worst part about it is that for some reason they keep doing it. Whatever. Anyway, my point being is that Nintendo at the current moment is apparently releasing enough SNES Classics. Just today, as of a few hours ago, GameStop and ThinkGeek in the US have already said they're getting the shipments. And they also announced when they're getting the shipments and when they're going to put them online, which is the best part. They're putting it online on October 11th, which, if true, it's easier to get. I had a friend who actually managed to get their SNES Classics because ThinkGeek specifically said that they were going to have it at midnight, or not midnight, they said they were going to have it on the specific date at Pacific time. So that usually, I guess, to him, it meant that they were going to be available at midnight, and yeah, they were, so he managed to get one. So the system itself doesn't seem to be as hard to get as the original NES Classic, which was a huge disappointment. I have no idea how Nintendo couldn't have figured out that they that thing was going to sell out like crazy. I'm guessing there might be some truth to the fact, seeming more and more anyways, that there's some truth to the fact that they were skeptical that so many people wanted the system, and so they didn't produce enough. However, I still feel like this is a hugely negligence on Nintendo's part, since they could have released surveys, they could have asked people, even online, to see what kind of response they had. Instead, what they decided to do is, like, they didn't want to take any pre-orders. They could have taken pre-orders months in advance. And then based on those pre-orders, they could have made enough systems to go around. They didn't do that. They refused to take pre-orders, and they released them in stores. They released like 2 per store or something, and no one could buy them. So it's really hard to trust Nintendo. And it's still hard. Like, I still haven't been able to get an SNES Classic. So once I can actually get one in my hands easily enough, I can go walk into the store and get one, then I'll trust Nintendo again. At the current moment, I'm a little bit iffy about it, and I really don't want to hate on Nintendo. But at the same time, like, I don't want to support a company that plays so much with my emotions. Because, like, in the end, it kind of sucks. Like, I'm just going to disappoint myself all the time if I'm doing such something so stupid. Anyways, besides that point, the best part is that it seems they're making enough systems. Like, seems like many people will be able to get it. I'm really hoping tonight I can get one. I'll let you know, guys, if I do actually get one, how easy it was, whether it was easy at all, whether or not, like, the site crashes because there's tons of bots or whatever trying to purchase the site, or too many people on it. Who knows? We'll see later tonight if it's possible. We'll see even if it's up later tonight. It might not even go up, so who knows? But things are looking good. That said, the one thing I want to talk about specifically in this video is about what Nintendo's doing next. It seems just a few hours ago, Nintendo released a patent, or they didn't release it, they submitted a patent for what looks to be a Game Boy Classic. This looks amazing, and I actually I don't prefer the Game Boy Classic, but it's a really good idea, and I do believe they are going to make the Game Boy Classic. I do think maybe Nintendo hadn't thought about doing the Game Boy Classic right away, because I feel maybe they should have done that before the SNES Classic, even though I much prefer the SNES Classic, and I'm so glad they chose to do the SNES Classic. Second, since that was my favorite system, it still was my favorite system, like, I played, like, Super Nintendo a lot, actually. Like, every once in a while I'll be playing it, and it's still fun to this day. I just wish they would make new games for the Super Nintendo. If they could, that would be awesome. But that's for another video. Actually, that's another opinion I have, like what Nintendo should do. But it seems like they might be learning, or they might actually be listening to people, because I don't think they actually thought about doing the Game Boy Classic until a lot of people on YouTube and stuff started talking about the Game Boy Classic, and then they actually are now trying to do it. The only thing that I hope is that they still release an N64 Classic, since earlier in the year they released a patent, or they submitted a patent for what looked to be an N64 Classic, and I much prefer an N64 Classic, because I've wanted to play certain games like Super Smash Brothers again. Especially since having an N64, I do have one, but it's not in HD. It's harder to connect, and then I just don't do it as much. Specifically because there's too many parts to an N64. There's also like the ROM pack and everything I do not have intact at the moment. Like there are bits and pieces everywhere. Like I'm actually in a different country at the moment than what my whole N64 collection is, so it's kind of hard for me to actually play it. That said, this Game Boy Classic looks really good, and the one thing that I'm thinking, maybe they will release a Game Boy Classic over an N64 Classic next year, simply because I think they're going to try to make it something that you can't hack. And the way to do that is by not having any USB input at all, so you can't really connect this. So if they make it like a battery powered device and then it has preloaded games, you basically can't add new games to it. And that kind of would suck, but at the same time, I guess I would be okay with it as long as it has a decent selection of games. The original Game Boy, though, there was tons of games that I would like to play almost all of them, but to be honest, there's a lot that I don't remember simply because they weren't great games. So it's really, like, you can basically, it's a small selection of games that were actually truly awesome, and then that stand the test of time over several years now. So I don't think they can release like the whole list of games and then you won't be satisfied. This isn't gonna be like a Game Boy Color, I don't think. I think this is gonna be like classic Game Boy. I'm still hyped for it. I still want to get it. However, I know Nintendo probably, chances are you cannot get this thing even when it gets released. So, but the thing I wanted to hint is it's very likely that Nintendo might do the Game Boy Classic simply because they might just not put any ports or anything on it, so you can't really hack it as easily. You have to actually like open it up or something and solder some ports into it just so you can actually do such a thing. But I don't know. Only time will tell if this is going to be even possible. I don't even know if they can make the device without putting some USB port into it. But hopefully they do put something in like that. Or if they don't, because of like copyright protection stuff and other things, I would understand. But still, this is some really interesting news at the moment, and if Nintendo just lives up to their promises, that's all I really want. I want them to live up to their promises and release enough of these systems so that I can feel confident in supporting them. Like, I can go out and buy Switches and whatever. That's the other thing. Like, the Nintendo Switch at the current moment is kind of easy to get, so I have to applaud Nintendo for that. Like, it's actually not like the Wii U. I mean, it's kind of like the original Wii, but not so bad because they released it earlier in the year, and now we're coming into the holidays, and you can still kind of pick one up kind of relatively easily. Whereas all previous Nintendo consoles has been almost impossible to find for some reason. Like it's kind of enough because like the PlayStation wasn't this hard to get several months after it came out, and then now the Switch is doing kind of the same thing the PlayStation 4 did, which is why I'm kind of happy with Nintendo. It does seem like Nintendo's changing kind of a lot lately, and then it does seem like they're becoming more like other companies, and that's good. Like I have to applaud them for that, because like the years of them manipulating the market, it goes way back. It goes back to the original Nintendo console. Like if you look it up, there's been lawsuits, there's been tons of stuff. I'll make another video about that. But Nintendo's shady business practices have really, like, especially since they started affecting me personally, have really ruined my motivation to even go out and buy Nintendo stuff. So if by them fixing this and then doing it now, like they're just making it better for themselves overall. Because I'm more willing to go out there, I'm more willing to go buy more stuff from them. And I think they've learned this, like, as long as they make things available, people will buy it. As long as they make things available that people want to buy. Because no one wanted the Wii U. They should have also, this is another thing that they should have done with the Wii U. They should have released, like, more information about it beforehand and gotten people's advice before they announced it and already had made several of them. Because that just looking at the controller, it's clear they didn't, because like people were turned off the second they saw that. And people, like, even if you want to say people were confused by it, again, they didn't test anything. They didn't do enough research for it. And I feel that was Nintendo just being too cocky over the fact that the original Wii was such a success. Hopefully they don't do it again with with whatever succeeds the Switch. But at the moment, it's looking really good for the company. They look like they've changed a lot. They look like they're at least trying to learn from the past, and they're trying to do other things. I'm still very suspicious of Reggie. I still don't necessarily trust him, especially. I mean, Reggie's history goes further back. Like, even certain things he's done before, I don't like. Like before he was in Nintendo, I think he changed VH1. He changed it to a more teen-oriented channel, and that itself was a huge mistake. You just completely ruined what the channel was, for instance. And I don't. There's many reasons why I don't trust his management. Because his motivation seems to be more like what other business people would do. Like, if you've seen the history of Cartoon Network and stuff, like, people just go in there and they think it's better to imitate other people's. And yeah, once you imitate the other companies and everything, yeah, you might see a small profit for like a few months. But right after that, everything crashes and then you lose everything. And Reggie's, I think, one of those people that does those kinds of things. And that's why I've been very suspicious of his management. But I mean, I don't know enough about it. Like, I don't know enough about the guy itself, so I can't really judge. But it does seem to me like that. And from even the corporate mascot thing and all this other stuff that they've been doing at Nintendo, that's just really iffy. I'm glad that they seem to be toning it down now. It seems like management's changing enough, and then the company's doing more what they're supposed to do, make products available, don't trick people. People learn, people see these things, especially in the modern world, people will always see these things. So hopefully things go better. Hopefully this Game Boy Classic that comes out is much, much better than what it seems. And hopefully it's available. And hopefully everyone can get an SNES Classic. It's looking like they can. I still, like other people have said, don't necessarily trust this, but it's looking good. Anyways, guys, that's all I have to say. Subscribe if you want, like this video if you like. I'm out. Bye, guys.